Okay, we're good to go.
Great. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is the official regular meeting of the Community Development Commission meeting, April 28th. Seeing that we have a quorum, Madam Secretary, can you please take roll?
Yes. Roy Afusia. Winston Covington.
Here.
Vince Frazier. Gilbert Vasquez. Dang Lee.
Here.
Irlanda Martinez.
Here.
Richard Santana.
Present.
Jennifer Oliva.
Here.
Thank you. We have quorum. And for the record, Commissioner Frazier is unable to attend due to an emergency. And Commissioner Torres as well. She had a commitment with work.
Understood. Seeing that this is official, we have quorum. This marks an official call to order. Can we begin with the Pledge of Allegiance? Miss Olivia, can you please kick us off with the Pledge of Allegiance?
Of course. Hands over your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Olivia. At this time, if members of the public, we're going to move on to public comments. At this time, if members of the public may address the Community Development Commission regarding any non-agenda items within the subject matters jurisdiction of this committee, no action may be taken on the agenda items unless authorized by law. Does the public have any comments they wish to address the commission? Madam Recording Secretary?
We do not have any public comments.
Great. Seeing no public comments, we are now going to move to the consent calendar. This is the time for the commission to consider matters under the consent calendars, items 1 through 3. Do I have a motion to consider items 1 through 3? And please unmute so we know who made the motion.
Let's move it.
Good move.
Thank you, Commissioner Covington. Can I get a second?
I second.
that motion.
Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Recording Secretary, can you please take roll?
Yes, give me 1 second. Commissioner Covington, say aye.
Aye.
Commissioner Oliva,
Aye.
Commissioner Lee,
Aye.
Commissioner Martinez,
Aye.
Commissioner Santana.
Aye.
Thank you.
Great. We're moving on to the business calendar. We'll now consider matters under the business calendar. The first item on the business calendar is item number 4, to nominate Darlene Martinez Balbuena to serve on the Community Development Commission as the Santa Ana Unified School District Student Commissioner. Will staff please report on this matter?
There's no report unless you want to make any comments, Judson.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd just like to thank and express our appreciation for Mr. Mitchell for the work that he does on behalf of Santa Ana USD and to identify student commissioners for our commission. And I believe Mr. Mitchell is observing our meeting today with his class, and just want to say hello to Mr. Mitchell and his class and express our appreciation for Commissioner Balbuena's appointment to our commission.
Mr. Mitchell, would you like to say a few words?
He's not present in the meeting. I believe
Understood.
He's watching.
Great. Well, I want to thank you for your recommendation. I'm very sure that our Commissioner Balbuena is going to do a fantastic job serving on her role. I'm not sure if this is appropriate, Judson. Should we allow our student commissioner to introduce herself at this time, or should we wait for closing comments?
No, absolutely. I think that's a great opportunity for her to introduce herself.
Awesome. Commissioner Darlene, would you like to say a few words to the board and the commission?
Yes, thank you. Good evening. And thank you to the commission for this great opportunity. I'm very excited and committed to this opportunity, and I look forward to working with each and every one of you and moving your agenda forward as well as your mentorship. Thank you.
Great, thank you. And I think we all around here would congratulate you on the new appointmentship. So now we're going to move on to the business calendar. Actually, we're moving on to the business calendar to the work study session.
Chair Santana, if you give me a second, I just need to swear in Darlene.
Yes.
So we can make it official.
Yes, ma'am.
Darlene, I'm going to be reading an oath of office, and if you can raise your right hand and then you repeat after me, please. When I say I and then state your name, please. Go ahead.
I, Darlene Martinez Balbuena,
Do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
do solemnly swear that I will defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies,
and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies,
foreign and domestic,
foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith
that I will bear true faith
and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States
and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
that I will well and faithfully discharge
that I will well and faithfully discharge
the duties upon which I am about to enter.
the duties upon to which I am about to enter.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank
I
you.
will send you a copy of this so you can have for your records.
Thank you.
Thank you. We can continue.
Fantastic. I'm just, Mr. Hodge, did we do a roll call on this? I didn't think we did a roll call, did we?
You know, we did not take a vote, but I think that would be a great idea just to officially mark the action.
Okay, fantastic. So we are going to take roll, correct?
Yes. I believe who motion and who second?
I don't think we had a motion or a second. Can I get a motion, please?
Let's move it.
Okay.
Can I get a second, please?
I second it.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you.
All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Moving on to the work study session. We have one work study session. Please note that there will be no action or action taken on this item. The item on the work session is a general plan update, request for representative for a housing element roundtable. Would staff please report on this matter?
Melanie, I think you're muted. Go ahead.
Thank you. Judson, would you like me just to jump on in with the presentation?
You got it. Yeah, it's all you.
All right, very good. My name is Melanie McCann, and I'm a principal planner with the city's planning division. And today we'd like to take the opportunity to share with you a brief update on the city's general plan, including the upcoming housing element update. So let's see if I get this. Okay. So for those that aren't familiar, the general plan of the city is required by state law, and it provides, it's a document that provides long-term direction for the city's future on what it wants to be like and how it wants to recreate itself if as appropriate. And the horizon year for this update is for the year 2045. So we're looking out to that horizon. And the general plan, as I mentioned, affects the physical development of the community, but also the quality of life, economic health, environmental sustainability, all sorts of aspects of the city. The bright colored pictures you see at the base here are the different elements or topics or chapters, if you will, of the general plan. As drafted, we're looking at 11 different topics. And some examples are the land use element, the circulation element, the safety element, open space element. So those are a sample of them. And the words you see at the bottom of the screen are what came forth from the community when we began this process a few years ago and asked the community what was important to them. So the words are the themes of culture, sustainability, health, education, and equity is what resonated with the community. So as
I'm sorry to interrupt you. Do you mind just enlarging your screen on full size so we can see a little better?
oh, thank you. I thought it was.
Great. Thank you, ma'am.
Oh, thank you for that interruption. I really appreciate it. So hopefully you can see that a little bit better now. Thank you. So each of these elements that you see are cross-referenced by our city values. So these 5 words are, we've been referring to them as our core values, and they're integrated throughout each of the elements that are drafted at this point. So one of the things we want to bring to your attention is back in 2016, the state legislation approved Senate Bill 1000, and it basically requires that when we do general plan updates, we take the opportunity to look at our disadvantaged areas of our city and identify policies to improve the quality of life and environmental health in those areas. So specifically, this legislation asks cities to look at policies to reduce the health risks in those areas, to promote community outreach, civil engagement of those communities in the decision-making processes that the city has, and then also to prioritize improvements and programs in those specific areas. This is a great picture of Pacific Park. So one of the tool that's used to identify disadvantaged communities is a tool that was developed by the Environmental Protection Agency at the state level, and it looks at 20 different indicators. So you can see on the left here, it's pollution burden is one area, and then population characteristics. So a couple of examples of pollution burden might be an area's exposure to particulate matter or toxic release from industrial facilities. And on the right side of the equation here, it could be populations that have a higher level of asthma occurrences, or it could be that their educational attainment level is a little lower, their poverty level is a little higher, and all those different components go into evaluating and identifying disadvantaged communities. So each of those 20 factors are put into a model. And as you can see, the boundaries of the city of Santa Ana here, the areas that are in darker orange are the ones that have scored with the higher levels of burden and are considered our disadvantaged communities. So the areas in green in this map are those with the least amount of disadvantage or environmental burdens. This map shows more graphically, the pink areas are the areas that initially have been identified as our areas of disadvantage. And initially it covered 17 census tracts and several neighborhoods. The splashes of yellow that you see are the locations where we're having virtual neighborhood meetings with the different environmental justice communities to get their feedback. The elements that you saw earlier were actually presented to Planning Commission back in November of 2020, and it was decided that we wanted to go back and have additional outreach with our environmental justice communities. So that's what we're in the process of doing. One additional note, just in the last month or so, the tool that was used to identify our environmental justice areas it's draft, but it's being updated, and the areas that are outlined in yellow are additional census tracts that have qualified as disadvantaged communities. And this little area track that's in the hatched area, that actually has fallen out. But those indicators you see on the left here are the indicators that came up more consistently as the ones that Santa Ana needs to address. And most recently, with this new evaluation, lead risk was added as something for us to look at and to find solutions for. So just briefly, the outreach program that we're in the process of is that we have a survey. It's an electronic survey that's was kicked off in March, and it will continue through May. It's in English, Spanish, and Vietnamese, and hard copies are available as well. And then, as I mentioned, we're holding 10 environmental justice virtual meetings. And the next one is actually tomorrow, and it's focused and invited residents from the Saddleback View and the Lion Street neighborhoods, and to get their feedback on how to improve the quality of life and improve the health and the environment in their neighborhood. So as with most citywide projects, we have a website, an email, phone number for more information. This on the left is just examples of a hard copy of our surveys that are available. So the timeline is we'll be finishing up our surveys and our meetings the end of May. From there, we will take the community's input and refine some of those documents that you saw, the policies, and then specific actions to reach our goals for a healthy community. And then we'll be bringing it to the Planning Commission as a study session item. And then we'll be revising the environmental impact report late summer, and then eventually make it to public hearings the end of the year. So with that, I'm going to segue to the housing element. And Judson and his staff have worked very closely with the planning department on all things related to housing. And the housing element is actually on a separate review and a separate track. It's the one element that's required to be updated every 8 years. And so we are kicking off that as well. So again, as I mentioned, the state law requires that it be updated every 8 years. And the next cycle that we're planning for is from 2021 through 2029. It, like the other elements, provides policies and programs to reflect our housing needs, our challenges, and as well as opportunities to make new legislation. And it establishes, our long-term guide for our housing needs in our future. So just a quick slide on what's called the Regional Housing Needs Assessment. You might have heard about it in the news. Orange County, particularly Southern California Association of Government Areas, which covers Orange County, LA, multiple counties in our area. We have to plan for a total of 1.3 million housing units in our new housing element. And that number was broken up and allocated to different cities based on what's their housing need, proximity to high quality transit and job centers. And then cities like ourselves were actually given a reduction in that number based on the amount of disadvantaged community area we have. So as you can see at the bottom of the slide, our allocation for this next cycle is 3,095. There might be some adjustments to that for some transferring from the county for miscellaneous, but we won't go into that for now. So we have to plan for 4 categories: very low income, moderate income, and above moderate income. So the upcoming milestones to help us with this update is that we're convening a roundtable. And I think on your, I believe on your agenda, that was one of the reasons to come and present to you tonight, is that we'd like to have a representative from your commission to be on that roundtable of representatives from Planning Commission, Youth Commission, affordable developers, community serving organizations, et cetera, to be part of helping us shape the housing element. We also intend to do a citywide survey related to housing needs and have a virtual community workshop. And then, of course, we'll connect with the boards and commissions along the way. And the goal is to bring the housing element to City Council for adoption towards the end of the year. And then we do have a website that you see at the bottom, the link for information and upcoming meetings and more background. There's also 2 videos that we will be placing on there as well that give some information on, more information on what is a housing element and what is the regional housing allocation process. So with that, I would just open it to any questions, and hopefully tonight or sometime soon, we'll be able to identify a representative from your commission to help us with this effort.
Thank you, Melanie. Does the commission have any questions they'd like to ask?
Hi, everyone. I have a question, if that's okay.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
So it's my understanding that housing elements are due in like mid-October. It's also my understanding that the city started this process a little bit late. Is it a fair assumption that the city is choosing to take on the 120-day sort of grace period that the state gives for this element? Is that what we're doing, or?
Yes, that's correct. As you mentioned, formally the housing elements are supposed to be updated by mid-October. A couple of things have delayed a lot of cities getting to that deadline. The RENA allocation numbers were given out to the cities a little later than anticipated, but there is a grace period that allows us to adopt it up to mid-February, and that allows us to keep ourselves on this 8-year cycle versus being reduced down to a 4-year cycle, which obviously takes more time, money, coordination, et cetera. So we want to keep on that 8-year cycle. So that is part of as well what has slowed down the housing element kicking off is that the extra work to connect with our environmental justice communities. But we feel that it's actually a good investment because one of the subjects related to environmental justice is safe and sanitary housing. So if you will, we're doing kind of extra environmental justice work associated with the housing element.
Yeah.
Thanks for the question.
Great question, Commissioner. Would anyone else have additional questions?
How will you guys plan to carry out the citywide survey?
The citywide survey, we anticipate it being electronic, similar to our general plan survey, probably similar to the Parks and Recreation survey and the Revive Santa Ana survey. There's a lot of community engagement going on now. So we will publicize, through all the internet, Facebook, all the social media, and have it available online. And likely we'll have hard copies as well for those folks that aren't as technically comfortable. And so we typically offer that as well.
So what I mean is, would it be like a website survey where people just go on the website and they will able to access it directly to the survey, or they have to navigate through the city website?
I see. I'm sorry, I misunderstood your question. Typically, we have it connected to the city website so that you would go to the city website and go directly into, say, a monkey survey, and it would be direct. Does that answer your question?
Yes. Thank you. Yeah.
Good. Thank you for clarifying.
Thank you, Commissioner. Do we have any of the commissioners who wish to ask questions? Commissioner Covington.
And so, Melanie, question for you. In one of your illustrations, you had 4 different levels of income from very low up to, I guess, just below the median. Can you give us a breakdown, there we go, as to what qualifies and how all this is determined, please?
So how it's determined. Well, let me start with the determined portion. So the second bullet point, there's a methodology for that 1.3 million big, large number. There's a methodology that pulls from housing need that connects to what the city projects as its development that's in the pipeline. And then SCAG, that's the organization that puts out the numbers. They identify the areas in, for instance, Santa Ana that are near high quality transit, because the goal is that you want to have housing and transit close by to help reduce greenhouse gas, less vehicle trips, et cetera. Same thing with job centers. The model would be to have housing closer to job centers so there's less commuting, et cetera. That's the bigger regional vision. And then that last component is because we're a disadvantaged community, we in essence got our numbers reduced to allow us that extra opportunity to not have to plan for as much affordable housing because we've got some other, we're disadvantaged and we have a lot of other factors that we're trying to work through as a community. Does that help in a broad level?
That wasn't really my question, but I appreciate the expansion, of what we're looking at here. I was just interested in, what is for the city of Santa Ana considered low income, moderate, very low, etc.
I thought you might be touching on that too. And then with that, I was going to lateral that over to Judson because he would be much more expert so that I don't misspeak.
Thank you.
Judson?
Of course, yeah. So a very low income family in the city of Santa Ana earns 50% or less of the Orange County area median income. And the current income limit for a very low income family, so a 4-person household, is $67,250. And so a 4-person household that earns less than $67,250 is considered a very low income family. And when we finance an affordable housing unit and we designate that that specific unit that we're financing is specifically for a very low income family who earns less than 50% of the area median income, then the rent for that unit is restricted, right? And reduced rent affordable to a family who earns 4-person household who earns less than $67,250. And so to back into the rent amount that would be restricted for that family, you would follow the 30% rule, right? So that a family is not paying more than 30% of their monthly adjusted income towards their rent. And so you take the $67,250, divide that by 12 months, and then multiply that times 30. And you come up with a rent amount of $1,681 would be affordable to that very low income family in that very low income affordable housing unit. And so the same applies for low income families. Low income families are at 80% of the area median income. And the income limit for a low income family, I don't have that readily available, but it's slightly higher. It's about around $85,000 for a 4-person household.
Does that help answer the question, Commissioner Covington?
It does. I guess what I want to hear that if you know the number for what is that number that we're using, that we're taking 50% of, 80% of, what is that number, please?
The Orange County area median income overall, that's what you're asking. And you actually have that in your our housing authority quarterly report that you saw under the consent calendar. And it was, let me see here. I have to pull that up. It is currently $102,450 as of March 2021. And that's on page 3 of your quarterly report. And that's for a family of 4.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Covington. Does any other commissioner?
I have 2 more questions.
First, Mr. Dangley, before you begin, we first like to select all commissioners one time, and then we circle back for seconds. Does any other commissioner like to speak or ask a question? Seeing none, I would like to give it back to you, Mr. Lee. Go ahead.
Hi, guys. Hi, Justin and Melanie. I got 2 questions. So at UP this year, I noticed that they accept ADU as part of the housing number, right? So how do you see from your experience and from your study, how do you see that ADU proportionally built will be benefits with what income level would that be beneficial forward for? And then my second question will go back to the quarterly report. Since now we're counting ADU as housing number, but I didn't see that, the last in the report, we don't have the number, how many ADU have we been developed in the Santa Ana city. So I'm hoping, is there any way we can incorporate that number into our next quarterly housing report for Santa Ana? So just so we kind of keep track of, like, what's all the development ADU in the city is like, so those are my two questions.
Very good. We'd be happy to work with Justin to provide you some more periodic reports on our ADU production. We did a study recently, and I think if I remember correctly, we've had a production of 140 AD units in the last, since the ADU phenomena became so strong. And yes, the accessory dwelling units are anticipated to be factored into our allocation. And based on our past, just even this past year, I want to say about 80% of the accessory dwelling units were calculated as low or very low in affordable units. So we in Santa Ana have had a higher level of affordable units with our ADUs. Other communities, maybe they are a little bit more in the moderate category. So we will be working with the state HCD to make sure our assumptions are acceptable to them, but we anticipate a good number of our, for instance, so if we've had 140 units over the last, let's call it 5 years, then we'll make some assumption on how many we would likely have over the next 8 years. And then we'll assign X number of those, whatever, say it's 60% of those to be low and or very low and moderate, and plan for that. Did that help a little bit? Yeah? Okay.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, thank you, Mary.
You're welcome.
Fantastic. For the nomination or consideration of appointing a commissioner, can we postpone that for our next commission meeting until we have all our commissioners present?
I would ask if there's another process, and maybe our legal or Ryan can assist us with that. I don't know that it needs to be a formal action by the commission, but we would like to actually formally invite everyone and get things on calendars by starting next week. So
Gotcha.
If there's another process to assign folks, that would be ideal.
Maybe Ryan, maybe the chair can appoint a commissioner, between meetings.
Yeah, I agree there. It's not a formal position or a formal assignment, so it doesn't require a formal vote or action of the commission. So I think that's something that the chair could make an appointment and suggest that maybe ask for volunteers, and if somebody would like to participate, then the chair can just make that appointment.
Fantastic. I think for someone who works around this arena, my personal recommendation is going to be Commissioner Martinez, Orlando Martinez. Do you show interest in sitting on this commission?
She's muted. You're muted.
Thank you. Yeah, I actually would love to be nominated.
I'll go ahead and appoint Commissioner Orlando to sit on this roundtable, if that's okay.
Great, we appreciate that. And then if someone could just follow up with your contact information, that would be great, and we'll connect on the dates that are anticipated and the commitment.
Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Ms. McCann, for your presentation and answering our questions. We will now be moving on to our staff comments. Does staff have any comments they would like to share with the commission?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just one comment only from me today is a reminder about our Lead the Way training. We had sent out reminders to Commissioner Covington and Commissioner, believe Commissioner Lay as well regarding the Lead the Way training. We were seeking for you to complete the training by May 30th, or May 31st, 90 days after you received our reminder. And so just a friendly reminder about that for Commissioner Covington and Commissioner Lay. And then for Commissioner Oliva and Commissioner Balbuena, we did send you the Lead the Way training, and we're asking you to complete it within 90 days from our email on before July 23rd. Mr. Chairman, you've completed the training. You're familiar with the training for our new commissioners. I believe it takes, 2 hours or so, or can you provide any insight?
It's a pretty fast-paced, self-explanatory training module. Just got to stay consistent. If you can chip it away, you don't have to do the whole training at once, but I recommend just to get it done.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And with that, we appreciate commissioners completing that training so that we can have the certificate of completion back and provide that in case of an audit of our program, of our housing authority. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I don't have any additional staff comments.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Judson. I'm going to now open it for commissioners for any public comments, any commission would like to address or to speak of.
I just wanted to welcome Commissioner Martinez Balbuena to the commission. Congratulations.
Great. I'm sorry. It's a little difficult working on a mobile phone and working remote, so I'm doing my best. Does any other commissioner have any other comments they'd like to make?
Well, first, I want to say congratulations. But also, I just want to back in the bit. Even though I'm not gonna be in the housing element, but I would like to get more update. Would that be possible? For getting update to the commissioner for our next meeting, things like that. That'd be great to getting update from the meeting.
I think Ms. Martinez would love to connect with you and share you what she's learning, and I think you guys can both collaborate. But yes, that's great. And does anyone else have any comments for staff? Commissioner Covington?
Actually, just a couple of quick comments. I also want to welcome Commissioner Darlene here to our commission. Good to have you. And this is my first meeting back since February of last year. And for some odd reason, I've got to work on this. I have missed the emails and the agendas about this meeting. So I missed February, I missed March. My apologies, but we're going to get that worked out. I look forward to working with you folks all in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Covington. But Commissioner Oliva, like to say anything today? Great. Well, before we depart, I would like to welcome our student commissioner. You're gonna have a great time. You're gonna learn a lot. It's something that we take pride here in Santa Ana. So congratulations. And I will conclude this meeting. This meeting is now adjourned. The next regular meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, May 26th at 4:30 p.m. Have a wonderful evening. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.